Thank you very much. My job tonight is to tell you how the beams got to Winslow. And it's been an exciting story, even 20 years later. I was working at Weed and Seed, a government grant down at the city of Winslow, and the city had received a piece of mail that said Channel 3 was looking for any city that was putting on something for the 1-year anniversary. That wasn't specifically for Winslow, but we got together as a group, the city, Weed and Seed, a small group, and decided we should talk about, do we want to do something for the anniversary? We thought we could use the planter out here. It was all full of weeds and thought it would be a good idea to maybe breathe some new life back into it. So we had a committee, put together a committee. Now I'm going to start naming some names, and I hate to do that because on this project there was over 100 people that took place in the project. I don't want to leave out anybody's name, but on this committee was Bart Gomez, Judy Howe, Boney Candelaria, Steve Garnett, Dee Rodriguez, Lonnie Owsley, and several others. And the instructions were, draw what you think the memorial should look like. So everybody did. And we pasted them on the wall, and then everybody went around and circled what they liked about everybody else's drawing. And we redrew it again. And we did that process 3 or 4 times until we came to the drawing, which was exactly what it looked like down there on the corner. At that same time, we were watching TV, and the Discovery Channel had a thing on about where they were taking the debris, the metal debris from the World Trade Center. And they were taking it to what I thought was Long Island. So the next day at my office, I called the mayor of Long Island. I said, I'm looking for some of the debris you have. Now, I've only been to New York once since then, but Long Island, that sounds to me like it's a lot like Scottsdale. And she was a little perturbed that I would call asking about debris in her fair city. She said, that's probably Staten Island. And I said, oh, okay, whatever. Island's island. So we got a hold of Staten Island. They said, somebody's doing it, but it's not us. It's the Office of Emergency Management. You need to talk to Pat. Okay, so 10 calls later, I got a hold of Pat. And Pat said, hey, we've had some requests. We're going to do something about it. We're going to send out 2-foot pieces of beam to any city that requests it. You think to yourself, 2-foot pieces? Well, 2 foot of that beam weighs 400 pounds. They were going to send it out Federal Express, and you could build whatever you wanted to around it. Well, we had a different idea. On our drawings, we had 2 tall beams that would represent the World Trade Center, right? So we said, hey, we've got kind of a different idea. Let us send you the drawing we have and, see if you like it. So we sent it. I think he was more impressed with the process rather than the drawing. Just that we had the town and the committee putting together a drawing. He said, if I give you these 2 pieces, you're going to have the 2 largest pieces in the world. We said, hey, that'd be great. And he said, well, let me see what I can come up with. I got to talk to some people. The next morning call, he said, you got them. You got both pieces. Well, this is where the story becomes, be careful what you wish for. Because now we have 6,000 pounds of steel in New York. How are we ever going to get it back? I don't know, I guess I hadn't thought that far ahead. We contacted the railroad, and we said, what do you think about bringing it on the rail? They said yes, but it would have to change rail lines 4 times. And we said, man, by the time that happens, this thing's going to be over, So we thought about Walmart. They travel nationwide. I didn't know how it all worked. I thought maybe they could put on a truck from New York to Bentonville, Arkansas. That's their home office. And then when our trucks go to Bentonville, they pick it up. She said, no, it doesn't work that way. She said, either way, your local DC has to make that decision. Well, first of all, I didn't know what DC was. So she said, let me find out where yours is. And she scrolled the pages and came up and said, do you know where Buckeye, Arizona is? I said, I do. And she said, that's who you need to call. So I called, talked to a few people. Finally, they got kind of tired of talking to me and sent me up to the top dog, the big dog, Bill Hudnell. This voice came on the phone, big, giant Texas voice. He said, "How can I help you?" I said, "Boy, I'm glad to talk to you." I said, "Here's what we're thinking about doing." You know, he never wavered one time. He never said, "That's crazy," or "You guys are crazy," or why are you calling me?" He said, "Okay, all right." He said, "I got a couple of questions. One is, when do you need them?" I said, "In 5 days." "Oh, boy," he said. "So I'm going to have to send some drivers tonight. Is that what you're telling me?" I said, yeah, that'd be great." He said, "But now you're making it difficult on me." He said, "Because I have 159 drivers, and you're going to make me pick 2 that get the honor to do this." And I said, "Wow." And he said, "But we're going to do it." And he sent them that night, all the way to New York, to get the beams. When they got back there, it was incredible. They got a police escort through the city of New York. Now remember, it's not even been a year after the bombing. I mean, after the towers. So security's still high. They wouldn't let them take any pictures of where this was. It was kind of a secret place. But they put the beams in, and then they told the drivers, they said, "We have season tickets to the New York Mets. Why don't you guys stay and go to have box seats for the New York Mets?" They said, "No, we got to get these back to Winslow." And they got in the truck and came on all the way to Winslow. An unbelievable trip, and you're going to hear more about it in just a minute from Bill. But he picked 2 drivers, Alan Veely and Mike McBee, great people. And they were so excited to bring them in town, and it was an election day. And just a funny anecdote is Matt Salmon was downtown giving a kind of a political speech. There was about 20 or 30 people listening, and the Walmart truck came by. People said, "Hey, those are the beams." There's a different take of standing on the corner by yourself giving a speech. And that's exactly what happened to him. So that was pretty interesting. We, in the meantime, had to build the garden. So we started building it. When I say 100 people, I'm not exaggerating. 100 people stopped their car, got out, looked at the drawing, got some tools out, and started working. Be a lot of things that'll be told, how much it costs, how many days it took. I'm here to tell you, we did it in 5 days at a cost of 0. Everything donated. And, well, that's a big clap for yourself, because it was incredible. I mean, the people that came to help, you know, you've heard of the Hancock family, Dale Hancock and Gene and Jeff, Nelson Tecklenburg, Chipper Cunningham, John Jacobs, Clyde Padilla, Bart Gomez, Steve Adams, Loy and Pat Englehart. The name goes on and on and on. We were so grateful and thankful for them. And we got the beams ready to go, and really cool. The concrete had to dry in 1 day, so they put what's called quick dry in it, and they pumped it from the freeway over to the memorial. That night I came out to check on it at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was smoking because it's drying so fast. But it got dry by the next day, and by the time the beams came, we got them set. We finished the entire construction project at 5:45, and the first ceremony started at 6 p.m. So a little close. A couple of personal notes I want to make, and then I'm going to tell you the 10 things you might not know about the beams. But first thing, I'd like to thank my mom, Marjorie Herron, who's here, my kids, Billy and Jennifer and Chelsea, and my grandkids, who without them, you know, I don't have a strength to move on. My friends and family from Flagstaff that came today, I sure appreciate everything. When people say we might not have been fully invested in this project, let me tell you, I walked over to get a drink of water. Dale Hancock was digging in the pit there. Now, he was 68 years old, and all the 20 and 30-year-olds were done. They were getting a breath of air, while Mr. 68-year-old kept working. And I had told Gene, I said, now remember, Dale's oldest son had passed away just a couple of months before this. Just a couple of months. And I told Gene, I said, this project really needed your dad. And he looked at me and he said, my dad really needed this project. And I got to tell you, that stuck with me for 20 years. So when you think it might not be invested, there was investment in this. I told you there was two drivers, Alan and Mike. Mike went to Oregon, but Alan's still in Phoenix. And we talked this past Monday. I told him, I said, this time of year I always think about you guys in the Walmart truck and the beams. He said, I think about you guys too. Now he has cancer and he's dying of cancer. That's why he couldn't come. He said, it was the most memorable thing I ever did as a driver. And tell the people up there, I said, hello. I said, I'll do that. A couple of years ago, I got a chance to go from work for a work trip to New York. And I went down to the empty spot where the World Trade Center beams were. And I got a chance to talk to one of the fire chief battalion leaders. He was one that oversaw an entire fire crew, and he lost most of his crew that year. And we talked for about an hour just about that day and what was going on with that day. And, you know, I told him there was some question on whether it should be a celebration or should it be a memorial. Or he said, we loved what we did. We'd be honored if it was a celebration. He said, celebrate people doing their jobs and loving what they did, because that's what we did. As I got in my cab to go and he got in his fire pickup truck, he stepped back out and he said, tell the people up there I am blown away that they would take the time to do something like this for us. He said, I am blown away by it, and tell them thank you. So from the fire captain in New York, thank you from him. Here's a few things you might not know about the beams. One, it rained 3 straight days. I mean rained 3 straight days. That field over there was a lake. And we were supposed to dig a hole to put the flagpole in. And the plans from the city said it was right on top of the water main. But somebody told us they had moved that, and that wasn't the case, that we were clear to go. Well, somebody said, you've got to give the okay if we're going to do this. So I said, okay, I'll give the okay, go ahead. Well, we hit right in the middle of the city water main and dumped about 10,000 gallons in that lot right over there. Now, so you think, well, what matter did that do? Well, it shut down all the business at the Pilot, all the business at Holiday Inn, and they were mad about it. They couldn't cook, they couldn't go to the bathroom because there's no water. We're standing over there working on the beam, and I see some suits coming across from Pilot. I know they're the executives, and boy, they're coming to talk to somebody about this. He came up to me and he said, hey, somebody's going to have to answer for this. And I said, oh yeah, I understand that. I said, by the way, I didn't even introduce myself. I said, I'm Harold Sager. I ain't going down for a water crime, I can tell you that. That ain't going to happen. The original flag was flown over the Pentagon. We bought the flag, we sent it back to Washington. They flew it over the Pentagon, played taps, and sent it back. So when you see it, that the flag was over the Pentagon, that's a true story. We had to sign a contract. He said, I need 2 things from you if I give you these beams. One is you're going to sign a contract saying you cannot profit from this beam. So you can't make coins or make snow globes or anything else. You have to treat them with the respect and honor that they're meant to give. I said, we'll do it. And he said, we're going to entrust you with these beams. So on that plaque right there, it says, these are the 2 beams that are entrusted to the people of northern Arizona. That's because they needed us to do the right thing with them. And I think just what it says on the board, don't ever forget. And we've been able to not forget. So very proud of that. 2 or 3 last quick things here. On the plaque, it it says, the people of northern Arizona will not forget. You know, it's here in Winslow, but let's not forget our family, friends, and brothers and sisters in northern Arizona. The flagpole came from Flagstaff, no creativity there. The plaque came from Show Low. The lettering came from Joe City. And the labor and the intense work came from Winslow. So it's a northern Arizona love. Love that the band's here from Joe City. We're glad to have you here. And it is a northern Arizona event. It's classified. I said, it's what? It's classified. I said, I'm in Winslow. Who am I going to tell? The milkman from Joe City? I mean, I don't have anybody to tell. He said, okay, I'll tell you. He said, we shipped all the steel to the Gulf of Mexico to a shipbuilding company. They're building a new Navy warship, and it's going to be called the USS New York. So that's pretty cool. You didn't hear it from me. I was sworn not to tell. Two last things. One is we almost didn't get the beams. The truck, like Bill said, left to go back there, but when they got to Pennsylvania, they stopped at one of the Walmart stores, and the guy said, oh, don't take the 18-wheeler into New York. I just bought a brand new dually pickup. We'll take it in there and get them. So they jumped in, and they all headed to New York. They got to the yard, and the guy who was loading the beam said, I could have put that dually on the ground. He said, you know, these things are over 5,000 pounds. He said, no way are they fitting in that dually. So when I called the guy and I said, did we get the beams? He says, no. He says, I have bad news and I have really bad news. What do you want? I said, well, I don't want that choice, really. But I'm thinking, oh, no, man. You can't tell me that we missed on this. And he said, oh, we got a safety meeting in the morning. That guy has to be here at 7 o'clock. He said, if you'll have your guys here at 7, we'll try it one more time. Well, I called superstar from Texas, Bill Hudnell. He'd already heard about it. And he said, I said, but Bill, they have a hard time getting in the yard. They say a truck, it's really hard to get a truck in there. Bill said, my guys can do it. I said, yeah, but they say it's really difficult, that it's a swervy road, and he said, my guys can do it. I said, okay. So under his direction, they pulled up in front of the gate and spent the night in front of the gate. So no one was going to those beams because the Warmwood truck was blocking the road. And that morning, he loaded the beams and they headed this way. So we almost missed a bullet. There was two things that he asked when you got beams. This is the last final thing I want to tell you. He said, you have to sign a contract, and I require a picture of whatever you do. Whatever memorial you make or whatever thing you do with this beam, send me a picture. Okay. So we did. And he said, hey, we like Winslow. I said, yeah, you tell everybody that. He goes, you want to know the truth? I said, yeah, I want to know the truth. He said, I didn't get all the pictures back. I told everybody I needed them, but I only got 80 to 100 pictures back. He said, and everybody in my office, my staff, he said, had somebody that was in the World Trade Center that day, or they knew somebody who was in the World Trade Center that day. And it was very emotional for us. He said, so we spread all the pictures out, 80 of them, on the conference room table, and we said, let's pick the best one. We narrowed it down to 40, narrowed it down to 20, got it down to 10. He said, and I want you to know, they picked Winslow, Arizona. He said they picked Winslow because they felt the love and they felt the commitment of the people there through the picture. And they said, if one place in the world will make good on the promise to never forget, it's going to be Winslow, Arizona. And so the number one picture, the number one thing in their mind was Winslow, Arizona. My honor to be a part of this. I'm honored to tell you the story tonight. It was a lot of fun doing it. We're lucky to have them, and very honored to